Part 2. It was just about needing to get it done. Some, including many at Warner Brothers, believed Prince concluded his record deal with albums compiled out of spite. In Come is Prince's most confused and unappealing record. It appears to have a clear structure beginning with and ending with an orgasm, but anyone putting this record on for very white purposes will have a nasty shock when they get to the song about child abuse, Papa. Having decided to kill off Prince, it seems as if he wasn't going to include his best songs on the record. And it's really the soundtrack from Glam Slam Ulysses minus the 5 best tracks, but with the addition of 2 new, slightly more substantial songs. The appealingly smooth, horn-driven Let It Go and the aforementioned Papa, which some have read as autobiographical. Evidently not an album Prince took particular care over. Come was nevertheless supported by 2 of his best maxi discs, containing variations on Let It Go and Space, respectively, and including one remix, the Universal Love remix of Space, that many fans consider the best remix alternative version of any Prince song. As with several Prince maxi singles, these collections work as albums in their own right, and in this instance reveal their parent album. 3 months after Come, Prince continued the house clearing with the official release of the Black Album. It would have been perfectly possible to turn this release into an event, but it seems that for whatever reason, Prince's continuing ambivalence about the record and the increasing sense of conflict between the artist and his label, it slipped out uncelebrated, and it seems destined to be remembered for its status as a once legendary bootleg rather than for the quality of the music itself. While celebrating the death of Prince, the artist was readying his debut album. Frustrated by delays, once he'd drawn a cross on his cheek, now he wrote Slave. There, while attending recording company meetings and making public appearances, Prince was road testing new songs at a small private shows at Paisley Park and embarking on a new time of spiritual growth brought on by adopting a new identity. However personally rewarding he might have found this, my innate faith in Prince's intellect is seriously challenged by the fact that he was for a few years at least going round recommending the self-help book Embraced by the Light by Barry A.E. There's an obvious disconnect between the people who write about rock stars, unhealthy obsessive types who have read, heard, and seen, and in some cases eaten too much, and the superhumans they describe, and it's perhaps inevitable that pop stars are more likely to be impressed by New Age philosophy than anyone who has spent too much time inside a lecture theater, concert hall, or darkened screening room. But even so, Embraced by the Light, come on, still as galling as it is to have to read this sort of drug in search of what Prince found of value in it, it's easy to find in this book many sections that chime with Prince's occasionally mechanistic beliefs, such as Edie's insistence that our bodies punish us for any sins of the flesh. It is this sense of being responsible for our bodies that lies behind P Control, the opening track of the Gold Experience, the one album from this era that fans hold in high esteem. The next stage in Prince's development from sexual revolutionary to reactionary conservative, P Control brings together many of his long-running obsessions: the sexualization of school days, the importance of money in sexual and romantic relationships, dominance and submission. In the most basic formation to date, can you imagine a male equivalent called cock control? The song is worth hearing for Prince's hip-hop inspired OTT delivery, but it's an off-putting opening if it's symbol, then back to Prince. If this is symbol, then back to Prince. The Gold Experience includes the two most immediate songs from Glam Slam, Ulysses, Endorphin Machine, and Dolphin, as well as The Most Beautiful Girl in the World, which has the silliest audio punctuation ever. Not just the ticking clock, but the plimp of Prince's teardrops of joy and more than the usual amount of filler. Shh is a fairly run-of-the-mill ballad, most notable for its drum solo, which Prince has played in concert more times than any song not from his classic era. We March is another self-celebration song now in 319 are almost instantly forgettable, though the former includes one of Prince's most suggestive lines and ends with him comparing the MPG to drugs. His claim that 319, a song about a man photographing a woman, I'm not going to say that word, in a hotel room, was inspired by the actress Elizabeth Berkley from Showgirls makes one want to see the pictures, if nothing else. The three best songs are stacked together towards the end of the record, each of them tinged with a darkness and violence more disturbing than anything since the Black Album. Shy is Prince's psychosexual response to gangsta rap, featuring him meeting a woman who tells him about an initiation murder she's committed. While the narrator wonders if the story is true, Billy Jack Bitch is Prince firing back after criticism from journalists. A pun in the lyrics suggests the song's target is CJ, the gossip columnist from Minneapolis Star-Tribune, who would frequently mock Prince in her column and who gave him the insulting nickname Cymbalina. Prince denied the song was about her. She claimed My Take confirmed it. But the album's most successful track is I Hate You, which was spun out with 6 versions on yet another maxi single entitled The Hate Experience, beginning as a put-down of a woman who betrayed her lover. It continues with a comical courtroom scene reminiscent of Witness for the Prosecution that ends with the singer tying up his lover and releasing her in front of a jury. Funny, erotic, and faintly ridiculous, the song's evident lack of sincerity only makes it more entertaining. A few more tracks like this in the Gold Experience might have truly represented a worthwhile new beginning. The letter might be sent to Prince fanzine controversy, but believed to be written by Prince, suggested Gold was Prince's latest attempt to write another Purple Rain. Like Graffiti Bricks, the song is a failure, mainly because it relies on cliché and self-improvement mantras and is overblown instead of genuinely stirring. Of more lasting interest was Gold's B-side Rock and Roll is Alive, and it lives in Minneapolis, a witty answer song to Lenny Kravitz's sluggish slam it, Rock and Roll is Dead. This comedy comeback confirmed how good Prince's goof off can be, especially when he feels he has something to prove. Steve Park has brought in to help out on the album's design, presented with an already completed alternative concept. He tried to come up with a way of making it stand out on the stacks. I wanted to do a gold foil paper, and we had a company who could do it for us, but as you might imagine, it got real pricey. We did that one mock-up that he had on the David Letterman show. I even had a jewel case that had specks of gold inside the plastic. Then once Warner Brothers got a hold of it, I'm sure they didn't want to put that extra bit of energy into it. Underappreciated at the time, receiving mixed reviews and even prompting audience members to request refunds, the ultimate live experience was Prince's most audacious tour. It's not unusual for Prince to base a show primarily around music from a new album. Indeed, he'd done so 2 years earlier with the Act One tour, but in this case, not only had the record yet to be released, but it would be the first that Prince would release under his new symbol identity. When you add in the fact that the artist would open the show by announcing Prince's death, that the show's most compelling song, Days of Wild, wouldn't even appear on the new record, that during the show he promoted a different new album, the MPG's second record, Exodus, and that he was interspersing the new songs with covers of songs by his heroes Graham Central Station, James Brown, and Sly and the Family Stone. It's easy to see why the audience and critics struggled to comprehend the change, but these shows really deserve to be documented with an official live release. In this instance, However, a live album would suffice. The power of the music was not matched by the stage show, a Spinal Tap style affair that featured an endorphin machine stage so troublesome it led to the sacking of one member of the staff before it was abandoned in London. There was also a cumbersome conveyor belt system stagecraft which included Tommy Barbarella and Maite being flown over the heads of the audience in choreography that largely consisted of Maite clomping around the stage in bikini and boots. Surrounded by this nonsense, Prince focused on his guitar and singing, giving his most powerful performance in years. His dedication is all the more impressive given the technical and logistical problems they were facing. Cole remembered he'd shipped over this huge big set that he'd had built, and he was at war with his band, and he decided that he didn't want somebody in the audience mixing the sound. He didn't want a sound guy sitting in the middle of the audience mixing the sound where he couldn't communicate with him, so he had that sort of egg thing, and the sound person was put in that egg thing, and suddenly I found myself as the only person who would speak to him. There was a revolt, and I had to say, this can't work. What you want is to get the best possible sound, and to have your sound guy on the stage behind the speakers isn't going to achieve that. Sorry, but the band don't want this. The sound is terrible. Out the front, it sounds awful. In the end, he gave in. He was feeling very under siege on that tour because the accountants had made him strip down the whole set, and he was entering crisis proportions with money. He borrowed a lot of money off Warner Music Publishing, and of course his record sales were slipping, especially in America, and it was what happened to Michael Jackson a few years later. He's got this lavish lifestyle, and money was no object. Are you sure you want me to rent his shop and fill it with stuff? Are you sure you want me to have a studio on standby 24 hours a day in case you fancy recording? You'd have limos on standby, decoy limos. Vast amounts of money were being spent on these tours, and this accountant was the first guy who actually turned around and said, sorry, you haven't got the money to do this. It can't work. I was told by Gilbert Davidson that he'd made no money from the previous 2 tours. If anything, he'd lost money, but in a strange kind of way. It wasn't about money with him. Money was a sign of success and enabled him to do what he wanted to do, but I don't know if money for money's sake was his motivation. But on that tour, he went into this circuit mentality. He wanted to do after shows and every night, and would say, I won't go on for less than $10,000. I said, fine. I arranged a VIP area, and I said, here's your VIP area. The personal waiter worked out $10,000, bundled it into a Sainsbury carrier bag, took it upstairs to where he was sitting with his feet on the table. I dumped it on the table and said, there you go, $10,000, right? What time do you want to go on? Prince would conclude his deal with Warner Brothers compilations inside the 2 albums he dismissed on the sleeve notes as recorded for private use only, seemingly wanting to make the purchasers feel guilty for buying them. Warner Brothers plugged up the release of the second of these albums, The Vault, Old Friends for Sale, for over 3 years, finally putting it out between Crystal Ball, The Truth, and Rave On to the Joy Fantastic. Although Prince initially dismissed the first Chaos and Disorder as an album created in anger, he seems to have come to terms with it over the years, occasionally introducing songs from the record into his after shows. And of course, while it's no doubt true that he was eager to be shot of the label, that this was the most rapid way of doing it. At the same time, the ambition to record a quick rock album had been there as far back as the Rebels. As he told Eliza Garner of the LA Times, someone told me that the Van Halen did their first record in a week. That's what we are going for, spontaneously seeing how fast and hard we could thrash it out. Only, as usual, this isn't the full story. It would have been perfectly possible for Prince to go into the studio with the NPG and thrash out a quick rock record. That is always when he started thinking of a concept. Old orphan songs came to him, and while much of the record did come together in March and April while recording at Sound Beach Studios in Miami, he did also include older songs such as the title track. It's obvious he wanted out of his contract, and he didn't appear bothered about the commercial success of the record, but this isn't a substandard collection is a more punk rock equivalent to Marvin Gaye's Here, My Dear, offered to a record company instead of a single woman. For the fan who appreciates symbol, Prince's rock songs is among his most exhilarating records, and for a psycho-punk record, the arrangements are surprisingly complex with an enormous amount of audio effects, chaos, and disorder, and I like it. There are definite in their refusal to say anything. Prince takes on the guise of a no-name reporter who doesn't want to say anything because Shakespeare has always got there first. For such a prolific lyricist, these songs are striking. Prince as symbol, boasting about how to write compelling songs without a single revelation. Dinner with Dolores is a pretty song with nasty lyrics. The reference to a woman stuck in 1984 suggesting a response to any wannabe darling Nickies who had yet to get the message. This same December is more cryptic psycho theology, but Right the Wrong is an intriguing use of a Jagger SK Fox Country Register to criticize the mistreatment of Native Americans. The full version of Santa Lee reveals it to be a spectacularly silly song. Policemen go out to investigate a disturbance only to find Prince being double-teamed by two women. This is toned down in the accompanying promo. I Rock, Therefore I Am shows Prince exploring the rock raga while boasting about his musical skill alongside Minneapolis rappers Scrap D and Steppa Ranks, who encourage female listeners to reveal their boobs into the light. Is more 80-inspired spiritualism and most indistinguishable from I Will. After this moment of brightness, the album ends in bitterness with the techno-influenced and self-explanatory Dig You Better Dead and the extraordinarily savage Had You. Less a song than words you might find written on a mirror and lipstick at a crime scene. The artwork is particularly primitive. Steve Park says this was deliberate. It was trying to be like an angry look. It was thrown together very quickly. I shot a bunch of Polaroids around Paisley and just set up little scenes of things burning and stuff, and I had a lot of worries about printing because that was the point where color collaboration was not there yet. I remember asking the people at Warner Brothers, can you get back to me if there are color issues? I never heard anything from them, and then when I saw it come out, there were some issues. My impression was, at the time, the conscientious nature with Warner Brothers. It wasn't about spending a whole